You're in a Mexican standoff, meaning someone is pointing his gun at you even as your gun is pointed at him. Everyone freezes. In the movie version of the Mexican standoff, what follows is snappy dialogue amongst the characters followed by gunfire all around. But what about in real life? Do you shoot? Do you not shoot? And which option would qualify or not for lawful self-defense? Let's discuss. Now, this topic was brought to my attention by a video clip I saw on social media platform X. You can follow me there, by the way, at @lawselfdefense. And in that video clip, two men, one apparently a homeowner wielding a shotgun and the other apparently a thief wielding a pistol, find themselves in a Mexican standoff in a backyard. The homeowner seems to surprise the thief and aligns his pistol-grip shotgun directly on the thief's torso. The thief, meanwhile, has already his own pistol in hand. Looks like it might be a Glock, with the muzzle pointed right back at the homeowner. Either man could fire first and be perhaps a half second ahead of the other guy shooting back, if that is the other guy remains physically capable of shooting back. But in the video clip we see, neither man elects to be that first guy to shoot. The Mexican standoff is, of course, a common theme in movies. Quentin Tarantino seems to use such a standoff in almost all of his movies, including his first big hit, 1992's Reservoir Dogs. Long before that, of course, Sergio Leone wrapped up his fantastic 1966 film, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, with a Mexican standoff in a graveyard between Blondie, played by national treasure Clint Eastwood, Tuco, played by Eli Wallach, who pretty much stole the movie, and Angel Eyes, played by the fantastic Lee Van Cleef. I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. You'll have to watch the movie yourself. And now we have a real-world Mexican standoff captured on this bit of video. So let's go ahead and take a look at the video clip, then come back to discuss the legal and tactical dynamics here.
What's up, bro? Oh. Chico, man. You all right? All right. It ain't got to be like this, man. Don't got to be like this. We can talk. I just want to go on by my way. Hey, just chill for a minute. Just let me talk to you, all right? I'm going to put mine down. You put yours down. Let's talk. I just want to go on by my way, though. Hey, everything going to be all right, bro. All we got to do is talk, all right? Hey, I done been there, dog. I done been on that side. All you got to do is talk to me, dog. What's wrong, man? What's wrong? A lot of things going on. All right, you got to put that down, though, so we can talk. And let's talk about what you got going on. I promise you. Bro, I ain't going to call the police or nothing. But you got to talk to me, all right? You can't do it like this. Let's just talk, bro. You want to make some money? Let's talk about making some money. All right? All right? This ain't the life you want to live, bro.
All right, so we saw the homeowner with the shotgun appear intent on opening up a line of communication with the thief, rather than simply shooting the thief down, even as the thief himself appears reluctant to shoot the homeowner. First, would the homeowner have been legally privileged to shoot the thief? The answer almost certainly would be yes, especially once the thief had pointed his own gun at the homeowner. Now, this would not be a traditional defense of dwelling scenario because the thief was neither inside the home, nor did we see any evidence that the thief was attempting to make an unlawful and forcible entry into the home. Instead, this confrontation takes place in what appears to be the backyard of the home. That this is the backyard does have some legal relevance, however, in the form of the castle doctrine. Properly understood, the castle doctrine holds that if you would have had a legal duty to retreat before defending yourself from an attack out in public, you are relieved of that legal duty to retreat if you are defending yourself in your castle. And when I say in your castle, I mean both literally inside the four walls of your castle and also within the curtilage around the outside of your castle. Curtilage is a legal term that refers to the area immediately around your home that's part of the normal day-to-day use of your home. For certain legal purposes, the curtilage is treated as if it were inside the four walls of your home. It's common in search and seizure law, for example, that while the police need no warrant to search something out in a public street, they do require a warrant if they want to search your castle. And that warrant requirement applies also if they want to search within the curtilage around your castle. So trash cans put out in the street for pickup typically don't need a warrant to be searched. But if those same trash cans are still leaning against the side of your home and within the curtilage of your castle, searching them typically would require a warrant. The same concept applies with respect to the castle doctrine. If you're defending yourself out in the street, you might have a legal duty to retreat, if safely possible. You're relieved of that duty by the castle doctrine if you are defending yourself inside the four walls of your home or defending yourself within the curtilage immediately around your home. Now, one danger of relying on curtilage, however, is that it's generally not given a definite scope. There's generally no statute or case law, for example, that says everything within a 100-yard radius of an exterior wall of a home is included within the curtilage of the home. Instead, curtilage is judged on a case-by-case basis, well after the fact, by a judge. So in the crisis of the moment, when you have to make your use of force decision right now, you can't generally be certain whether you'll later be found to have been standing within your curtilage or not. In the context of this video, though, let's presume that this confrontation takes place within the curtilage of the home, and so the castle doctrine applies to relieve this homeowner with the shotgun from any duty to retreat before he's legally able to defend himself. That addresses one of the 5 elements of a claim of self-defense, the element of avoidance. We still, of course, need to address the remaining 4 elements of self-defense in order to know if the homeowner would have been legally entitled to shoot this thief. And those other 4 elements are, of course, innocence, imminence, proportionality, and avoidance. By the way, if you're not familiar with these 5 elements of self-defense, you can't possibly understand when you would or would not be legally privileged to use force in defense of yourself, your family, or your property. Don't be ignorant of the law of self-defense. The consequences could be spending the rest of your life in prison. Learn what you need to know quickly and easily by grabbing a free copy of our best-selling book, The Law of Self-Defense Principles. This is your handbook to being hard to convict if you ever need to defend yourself, your family, or your property, and we want to give you this book for free. We only ask that you cover the cost of shipping the book to you, and you can grab your free copy right now at lawofselfdefense.com/free book. Now, back to examining those elements of self-defense in the context of this particular confrontation. We just dealt with the element of avoidance. Let's look now at the element of innocence, which here requires that it was not the homeowner who was the initial physical aggressor in this confrontation. Physical aggressor meaning that he wasn't the first person to use or threaten to use unlawful physical force. And you might wonder if the homeowner became the initial aggressor when he went out in the backyard with the shotgun to confront the thief. That's certainly an argument a prosecutor might try to make. I would argue that the homeowner had not become the aggressor, had not lost the element of innocence. The thief is at a minimum committing a trespass, an armed trespass, and the pistol in hand allows for a reasonable inference that he's committing a criminal trespass, a trespass with the intent to commit some further crime. Indeed, the gun as weapon implies the intent to commit some felony crime. The homeowner obviously has the legal right to be in his backyard with a shotgun, and he has the legal right to go into his yard armed with a shotgun when he needs to inquire of an armed trespasser, "Dude, what's up?" This is also perhaps one of the strongest arguments for allowing a defensive display of a weapon, meaning displaying the weapon in a threatening manner, but under circumstances in which the threatening display is for lawful rather than criminal purposes, here to defend against a reasonably perceived threat, as presented by this thief. Note we're making a distinction here between mere threatening the use of deadly defensive force, as in a defensive display, and actually using deadly defensive force. Defensive display can be lawful where actual use might not be. I would also note that another option for the homeowner would have been to stay inside his home, not venture into the backyard. Simply call 911 and let the police deal with this armed trespasser. Depending on police response time, that might well be the smart thing to do. And it would also avoid any argument by a prosecutor that it was the homeowner who became the initial aggressor by going out to confront the armed trespasser. That this might be the most prudent choice, however, doesn't make going outside unlawful. Now, given that the homeowner is lawfully in his yard with the shotgun for lawful purposes and is not yet, in any case, actually using deadly defensive force, the element of innocence here is satisfied. But let's see whether the actual use would be lawful here by considering the next required element of self-defense, the element of imminence. The element of imminence here requires that the homeowner was defending against a threat either actually occurring, rounds are inbound, or immediately about to occur. Certainly, with this thief having his pistol in hand, any threat the thief wants to present with the pistol is imminent, immediately about to happen. The thief's pistol is not a past threat that's over. It's not a speculative future threat that may never happen. It's an imminent threat in the moment. So the element of imminence is satisfied. Next, the element of proportionality here requires that the homeowner would not be privileged to use deadly defensive force unless he was facing a deadly force threat. Clearly, the pistol in the thief's hand is a deadly force threat, so the element of proportionality is also satisfied. And finally, we have the element of reasonableness. First, the homeowner here must have had a subjective, genuine, good faith belief in the need to defend himself from the armed trespasser's pistol, and I think that would be hard to disprove on these facts. And second, that subjective belief has to be objectively reasonable. And I expect any reasonable person on these circumstances would in fact have shared that subjective belief. Note that this doesn't mean the homeowner's belief has to be correct. If it later turns out that the trespasser's pistol was a toy, for example, and not actually a deadly weapon, the homeowner would not lose self-defense based on this mistake in fact. Even if his belief was factually incorrect, it would still be reasonable under these circumstances. If a fake gun looks objectively real and you subjectively believe it to be real, you're allowed to respond to it as a real gun. And that's sufficient to support this element of reasonableness. We're not required to make perfect decisions in self-defense. We're required to make reasonable decisions in self-defense. And reasonableness certainly seems supported on the facts of this case. So, in summary, based on this analysis, this homeowner would have been well within his legal rights to simply shoot this armed trespasser upon contact with him in the backyard. Now, it has to be said that the right to use force in self-defense exists only as long as the threat being defended against remains imminent. If the trespasser were to drop his gun or start running away or do something else that eliminated the imminence of the threat, the homeowner's right to use deadly force would also be eliminated. Of course, in the confrontation captured in this video, the homeowner does not choose to simply shoot the armed trespasser on contact. Instead, the homeowner puts the muzzle of his shotgun on the thief and engages in dialogue. Indeed, the homeowner continues to engage the thief in dialogue even as the thief responds, not by dropping his own gun and running away, but by pointing his own pistol back at the homeowner. And now the two men find themselves in a classic Mexican standoff. We've already concluded that the homeowner could have shot the armed trespasser on contact without any verbal warning. Does the homeowner have any less of a privilege to shoot once the thief's pistol is pointed back at him? Of course not. At the same time, is the homeowner allowed to not shoot if he feels he has the luxury to be patient and attempt to dialogue with the thief? Sure. You're always legally permitted to use or threaten less force than the law otherwise permits. So if you'd be permitted to shoot, you're also permitted to not shoot. Tactically, of course, the homeowner is now incurring a sizable risk, and in fact is betting his life on the discretion of an armed trespasser in his backyard at night. After all, in a Mexican standoff, the first person to shoot may not win the gunfight, in the sense that they might end up getting shot dead too, but they almost certainly ensure that the other guy loses the gunfight. So this homeowner has decided to wager his own life and the lives of any innocents living in his house that he has a duty to protect, such as his wife and children, on the armed trespasser being willing to indulge in the same degree of patience as the homeowner. Does that seem to be a sound risk to take? Now, I don't tell people what to do. If you want to indulge in the luxury of patience while being held at gunpoint by an armed criminal, well, you do you. Personally, if I'm putting the muzzle of my gun on somebody, it's because I believe that the conditions for my lawful use of deadly defensive force have been satisfied, and I'm intending to fire my gun as soon as I have it properly aligned for the intended effect. Of course, circumstances could change. The bad guy could drop his gun, run away, whatever, such that I would ultimately not end up needing to shoot, in which case I wouldn't shoot. But as I'm bringing my gun into alignment, I'm fully preparing to press that trigger so long as the threat I'm observing remains imminent. And the threat does not get less imminent if the other fellow begins to align his own muzzle on me. So it's almost impossible for me to imagine a circumstance in which I would find myself in this kind of Mexican standoff. I'm going to be doing my best to shoot that reasonably perceived imminent unlawful deadly force threat before it can shoot me. That's what self-defense allows. Even if somehow both our muzzles aligned on each other in the same moment, I'm not inclined to delay pressing my trigger just to see if the other fellow will follow suit rather than simply shoot me in the face. Again, I don't tell people what to do, so if you want to pause and see if you, 1, die in the next 0.2 seconds because the other guy shot when you didn't, or alternatively end up in a movie-like static Mexican standoff, you won't hear me criticizing. It's your life. You might want to make sure you have your snappy dialogue ready to go, however, or at least that fantastic, eerie music from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly ready to play in the background. I'll close out by reminding you all again that if you carry a gun for self-defense, so you're hard to kill, that's why I carry a gun, so I'm hard to kill, so my family is hard to kill, then you also owe it to yourself to know the law, so you're hard to convict as well. Until next time, I remain Attorney Andrew Branca for lawselfdefense.com. Stay safe.